When I started doing support for ChessBase programs back in the early 2000s, the distinction between the Fritz family of chess programs and the ChessBase flagship program was much more defined than it is these days. Though even then, I would always stress the fact that you get the best experience with both programs working together, which is as true today as it's ever been. Now, given that ChessBase 15 is the premier chess database management software on the planet, it also has amazingly powerful analysis features too. Today I'm going to look at the basic task of setting up a chess engine on your computer for use with ChessBase 15. Now, if you're not sure of the terminology, a chess engine is the chess playing brain part of the program. So you can have many different chess engines, all of which you can use within ChessBase 15. Now, of course, you can access engines through the Engine Cloud, which is an amazing feature of ChessBase software that uses the internet to connect to a wide array of chess engines on super strong hardware. But today we're going to look at chess engines that are stored on your actual computer, otherwise known as local engines. So the first thing we need to do is check which chess engines are already accessible through ChessBase 15. And we do that with a thing called ChessBase with Engine Management. To access the engine management, you open the board window like we looked at in the last video. We click on the board button, or you can do it with Control and N on your computer keyboard. Once you're in the board window, you click on the Home tab, and then you go along to the Engine section, and you click on the button for Engine Management, which brings up this screen. Here you'll see two distinct sections. There's one for active engines, and there's one for inactive engines. Now, if you've never installed any other ChessBase programs before, then your engine management window will look a bit different. It will probably only have Deep Fritz 14 there. You don't worry too much about whether it's a 64. That will be picked automatically depending on your computer. Most computers these days are 64-bit. So Deep Fritz 14 is included as part of the ChessBase 15 package. And while Deep Fritz 14 is not the most recent version of Fritz, which is Fritz 17 at the time of recording, it's still a phenomenally strong chess engine, which is, I think, 3072 ELO on the current CCRL rating list, which is going to be more than strong enough for anyone. However, if you install any other ChessBase programs, so for instance like Fritz 17, Komodo 14, Houdini 6, you'll see more engines in this list. Now, I've installed Komodo 14, so as well as the Deep Fritz 14, I have the Komodo 14 and a few other engines that all come packaged with Komodo 14. You'll notice here Stockfish, you can actually, in addition to the engines published by ChessBase, you've got the option of numerous chess engines on the internet freely available, such as Stockfish, which again is another very strong engine. You can add those. We'll look at adding UCI engines another time. So installing the brand new Komodo 14, the process is pretty much identical to how we installed ChessBase 15 before. Then we look at the engine management window and it looks something like this. So several different engines appearing in the active engine section. If you're like me, I mean, it doesn't look it here, but you've built up lots and lots of chess engines over time. So I've got a pretty large and unwieldy collection of chess engines. So in my main ChessBase, I have, this list is pretty huge. And that's where the engine management comes in. So you can click to select an engine. Then you can use these. So you've got the left to right arrows and the right to left arrows to move that to the other section. So you can move it from the active engines list to the inactive engines list. And you can do that with as many as you want. And by the way, you can always put those back as well, so you can do it back and forth. This doesn't delete the engines from your computer, which is good to know. It does take them off the list of available engines when you go to select your default analysis engine. So when you're happy with that, click OK. And we're going to go to select that default engine, which is done back on the main ChessBase 15 screen. So if we come out of the board window, we're back on the main ChessBase screen. We go to the File menu here at the top left, and we click on Options down here at the bottom. We're going to see a new window pop up. We're going to click on Engines on this list on the left. and then we bring up with a whole raft of options here. Now I could do a whole video just based on these options. If you want a bit more information on that, just click on the help button. That'll give you detailed information on all the different options there. The one that we're interested in right now is default engine. So to change the default engine, just click on the browse button. Now you can see why we looked at engine management first. Our list of available engines only has 2 in there. That's the 2 that we chose for, that we put into the active engine list. You can, of course, have as many active engines as you desire. So for this example, I'm going to click on my brand new Komodo 14. But the process is the same for Deep Fritz 14, or for whatever engine you choose. You can just click OK here. Before we do though, I recommend clicking on Advanced, which brings up the engine parameters screen. Most of these I'd recommend you leave at default settings. Don't mess around them. But if you want to, you can go in here. Again, look at the help section, look on the internet. Problem is, most people, if they change some of these things in engine parameters, you're probably going to make the engine weaker. So stick with the default settings that the programmer set up. Because I'm choosing Komodo 14, I want that to be my default engine. One of the things I am going to do is make sure that default engine is checked. You can only do this with one engine, but this is going to be the engine that you use most of the time. So because I want this one to be the one that I use most of the time, I'm going to make sure that box, just click on the box to check or uncheck it. So now that means that when we click on default kibitzer back in the board window, it will always bring up Komodo 14. The other thing I'm just going to mention very briefly, again, we could do a whole video on hash table size. I tend to set this to powers of 2, so things like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc, etc, etc. A lot of engines work best with hash table sizes that are powers of 2. So here you can see 2764, which is what it was set to automatically. That's not a power of 2. What's the right size for a hash table? It's been debated by chess computer people for years and years and years. There's no hard and fast rules here. I tend to go for something, as I say, a power of 2, so 2048. If you look at here, it'll tell you what your maximum is. I tend to go for something around quarter or half, between a quarter and a half. I guess it depends on what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be doing long, detailed analysis, you probably err on more. So I'd probably go for something like 4096. If I was doing sort of relatively quick analysis, then 2048 would do fine. Don't forget, of course, the maximum is how it is on my computer. It may be different to what's displayed on your computer because it's based on the actual physical memory that you have in your computer. So whenever you're happy with that, just click OK. Then we're going to click OK again, and then click OK again to get back to the ChessBase 15 main screen. Now, whenever we go back into a board screen, all you have to do is simply click on Default Kibitzer, and that will start up Komodo 14. If you want to select any other engines on your active engine list, you can click on Add Kibitzer, which brings up the list. Obviously, there's only 2 engines on there. So if I wanted, the easiest way is to use Komodo 14, because I set that as the default. If I wanted to use any of the others, just to get a different opinion in a particular position, I could do Add Kibitzer and choose from the ones that we have in the active engine list. And that's it. So you're all set to analyse to your heart's content. Now, chess coaches generally recommend that you go over your own played games. First, you go over them by yourself with no computer aid. Try and see if you can spot where you went wrong. Then you go over them a second time with a computer engine analysing to see what you've missed during the game and what you've missed when you've gone over it yourself. It's one of the simplest and one of the best ways to improve your chess. And you can do it all effortlessly with ChessBase 15.